my goodness, Jax. We've got the vision board is back. I know you love a vision board. We've got first dates. We've got what do you do after a first date? We've got some, serious, also some really deep moments here. Sam and his sister. We've got a deep moment with Zoe and Adam and Dr. McBride. Always lots happening this season on Good Witch. I gotta ask you first and foremost, like, how were you feeling this episode? Were you on that same journey we were on last episode where we were feeling lots of different feelings?
Yeah, I was. And of course, the return of the vision board, I'm never going to say no to. And as Joy's working on it, though, most of the time when I'm working on a vision board, either I'm excited or hopeful, you're filling everything in. It's a really cathartic activity. But Joy is kind of looking at everything and going like, okay, this kind of looks like a hot mess. I can't figure out how everything here fits together.
How does it fit together? You are so right. Well, I think we got to just dive on in to chatting about all of this that happened this episode in the Good Witching Hour. This vision board, you call it a hot mess. Cassie calls it a nightmare. Cassie legit looked at it and said, this looks like a nightmare. But the cool thing that we get right at the top here is that we know the SPF, it's for protection of your skin, SPF 100, and don't knock it. If y'all are not wearing sunscreen, you need to be. I'm just going to tell you that right now. This is a PSA. Wear sunblock.
Thank you. And SPF 100 is great. It's very
good.
effective.
Okay, great. Yeah. Great. Perfect. But also that is pointing to something is pointing them to protection. And we knew about that from when Joy met her dad and they talked about protection. And then there's an empty spot on the vision board. And Cassie says, whatever goes in that spot is what we need to see the light, which we will talk about a little bit later in this recap, because do they see the light? They do. Actually, literally, light is involved. The other thing happening with, my couple that I adore, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, Jax, because Donovan and Abigail, they're going on their second first date. And here's why. Because Donovan is allergic to aspirin. Abigail didn't know it. Donovan does not know Abigail's favorite book, and they don't know each other's horoscope signs. She is not a Leo. She is a Taurus. I loved when Sarah Power shouted out, "Who are you?" So, this was just a really fun thing that these two are going through, in the sense that, yeah, they need to go on a first date again.
Yeah. Sarah Power is so funny. And I also like that when he agreed to the second first date, she's like, great, you're planning it. And then it was only solidified by the fact that after she talked to Joy about her first date with Zoe, and Joy knew all these things, Abigail's like, this is bonkers. Like, how do I not know these things about my husband to be?
Yeah. Yeah. And what I will say is, I think that all couples, what I've learned thus far, and again, have not been married that long, but, have been with my husband for 14 years, in a relationship. I think dates are always great, to go back and relearn what each other likes. You might not even know something. I actually think that's very common to not know. The allergy is one thing. That is something that you would probably know. But there are some things that maybe you might not know about, memories and stuff. So I think if you're in a relationship, it's always good to just go on a second first date again. Even if you've been together for a long time, just go on a second first date again. See what happens,
Well, and he knows what his lady likes. So they know it's going to be a really fun first date. And we know this couple's spicy and a lot of fun. So getting them seeing them flirting is always something that I'm 100% here for.
Yeah, they are not dealing with that curse anymore. Like Donovan said, they've done everything, nothing has been by the book. So we got to give them some grace here, and finally they're doing it quote unquote right. The other, you brought up first dates, and Joy is struggling with the decision to send Zoe flowers. I mean, have you been there, Jax, where you've been like, okay, we had a really great first date, and now what's next? Because I think I mean, I've definitely been there where I've been like, okay, should I text? Like, should I call? Am I going to wait for him to call me? Like, it's sort of hard to decipher what to do after the first date.
You know what's interesting? I can empathize with that, but I was a pretty intuitive dater. So I think the biggest thing I struggle with in dating is when I knew I didn't want a second date. Because I'm not afraid of putting myself out there for a second one. Look, I mean, I'm an actor. I've dealt with rejection my whole life. I also am bad at sports, and my parents and my whole family were very into sports. Like, I'm used to being rejected and being embarrassed. Like, that ain't no thing for me. But it's more when I knew that I didn't want something to continue and I didn't know how the other person felt, then it would feel complicated. But I love that Joy wants to show Zoe just how special it was, but she's really afraid of writing that line of I want to know that I'm interested, but I don't want to overwhelm her. And his flowers too much, or what will she think? And you're doing those mental gymnastics about, I know how I feel. I am not quite sure how they feel, but also, even if I know how they feel, how is this gift going to be received by them? And I think Joy is riding that wave really hard this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't want to overwhelm or underwhelm. And, there's a lot of feelings here. And what I will say is that any man that has sent me flowers after a date, you are a winner in my book. So I don't think that Joy can go wrong with sending these flowers to Zoe. And again, like you said, Abigail is also like, wait, you had a great first date, so my second first date better be great. Now, we had some other sort of deeper moments in this episode. One with Adam. We got the church saved, but then his first meet and greet, no one really shows up. What were you feeling for Adam?
Okay, now this I could relate to.
Oh,
This
you've done a show before and you're like, and there's one person in the audience. Here we go.
that has definitely happened. I've definitely shared in the podcast about when I performed for 3 librarians during a snowstorm. So that has happened.
And they were thankful for you. They really were.
They felt, I think pity was their overwhelming emotion, but they were thankful. But I think it made me think of when I decided to have this big New Year's party, and we ordered all these supplies, my brother, sister, and I, and only a few people came, and we had 200 pencils with Happy 2000, Love Jackie, Cassie, and Sean on it. And we used those pencils throughout the rest. I think we still have some if anyone wants any.
I do. I would have come.
Actually, you would have. I'm not going to lie. It was people who we were already getting, to the stage where some kids wanted to go and do cooler things, but this was like a soda pizza party with my parents in attendance. And Shawl, I mean this from the bottom of my heart in the sweetest way. You would have come. You would have been there. You would have been one of the friends that would have attended. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I absolutely would have been. Now, in all fairness to me, though, I probably would have I would have come, and then I also would have gone and done something else too. So I'm sweet, but I got to call myself out because I will always want to make sure that I am taking care of all my friends. So I will always be going to everything that my friends, even if I have to stay for a little bit and then I'll hop on to the next friend, I will be showing you I love you.
Showing us some love. Yes. So I think in this episode, it was really hard to see because for Adam, it is his calling. It is so much more to him than just even a party or a fun thing that he's doing. It is God, it is what he does with his life, it is community, and to come into the space that he was so excited about cultivating this community and to see that there aren't really any people there to cultivate a community with, it was really, really hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you said that because this is what he's been called to do, and Adam has really been struggling, I think, with his journey this season too. So to see this moment happen to him, I really was like, oh no, I want some uplift for him. But we see why this all happens the way it does, which we are going to get to a little bit later. The other moment in this storyline was Sam's sister. Sam and Cassie go visit his sister Jo, who has episodic ataxia, which is a neurological condition that impairs movement. And they go visit her, and Sam and Jo have a lot of tension because Sam is trying to help her. From his perspective, he's trying to help and be there for her. Jo is not wanting that help. And, as Cassie astutely says to Sam, you have to let her do this her way. What were your thoughts about that too? I mean, obviously we both have siblings also and like sibling relationships, like they obviously can be, pure with love, but also there can be complicated dynamics there too. And we got to see a little bit of that in this episode.
I thought that this storyline was so brilliantly done, but as you're saying, Shawl, there were so many dimensions to this. You have the sibling relationship where Jo is saying to him, well, you know, I love you, but I didn't push you to do things that you weren't ready for. I'm not ready for this. And then you've gotten the struggle that Jo has where for her, I mean, I think anything with anyone's health is very scary, but she is a super active person. I mean, that for her, it's not just about your health at that point when you were that active, it's about your identity and everything that's wrapped up into that. And she's such an adventurous person. And that now she's having to sort of contend with, okay, but what will my body let me do? Another fun thing that I loved about this, though, is Cassie and Sam showing up and Sam sort of noting, like, okay, I don't know if Jo's going to want my help and I'm not sure if I'm welcome. And Jo opening the door to Cassie and saying to Cassie, well, Cassie's always welcome. And Cassie's striding into the house, and Sam's like, I'll get the bags. And Cassie looks back all flirty and cute. And she's like, I know. I just thought that was a great dynamic because you see how much Jo and Cassie care about each other and how, because their relationship isn't one of brother and sister, it's actually significantly less complicated, which is a good thing for the situation that they're finding themselves in.
Absolutely. And I mean, I also, who wouldn't want Cassie as their sister-in-law? I mean, the calm vibes that woman is bringing with her. But you're so right, Jax. I mean, it helps that Cassie is there because she can help mend maybe, a little bit of this tension. And also, Jo really trusts her and can sort of figure out this new identity that she has with Cassie and not feel judged and not feel judgment or not feel like she's disappointing someone like maybe she might also feel with her brother. Back in Middleton though, friends, we've got the Middleton Bridal Expo and lots happening there. So one, Martha, who is supposed to be Madame Mayor at the Bridal Expo, her grandmama duties are calling to her and she's so torn, but she ends up relinquishing her mayoral duties to George. He's the Middleton Encyclopedia, apparently, and thus Martha makes him the interim mayor. What did you think of this storyline?
This storyline was a lot of fun because I love how we have this moment with Martha where she's realizing that she wants to be involved in little tiny Tommy Tinsdale's life as much as possible, and that the moniker of grandmama is one of the most precious ones that she will ever have. And also getting to see George get to flex his bit of, mayoral vibes. That's a lot of fun too. The bridal expo. I wanted to ask you because I've never been bride. Hashtag always bridesmaid, never bride. Have you been to one of these things? Because it looks like so much is happening.
Yes, I have been. And yes, you're right. A lot is happening. There's a lot of booths. It's really fun though. I think it was really fun for me to just go and meet other women who are also, I went with a friend, and you also get to meet just like other women in line and hear their ideas, and you get to eat some good food if there's like caterers sampling things or bakeries sampling things. So it can be a lot of fun, but it's definitely all bridal all the time in your face. It's definitely a the ones that I've been to anyway. It's like a sort of a like huge event.
This is so silly of me until you said it. I didn't realize I wasn't thinking enough about the food
Yeah.
aspect. Is
Yeah,
that
there's
okay? There you go.
yeah,
That gets you through.
yeah, that's get exactly. Exactly. And there's also wine sometimes, or there's different beverages. I mean, what I'm saying? So like, yeah, there's some a lot of great things here.
Are there rivalries?
Not that I saw, but I am sure there are, because is there a flower war going on in Middleton, everybody? Because there might just be. Flower Universe is back on the scene, right? I mean, Jax, you're rolling your eyes here. Like, what are your thoughts for Abigail with this? Now they wanted to actually help her and buy her out, and then now they're just her competition.
Ooh, this got under my skin. I mean, kudos to the actor. I will say he's delightful. Look, great storyline. I'm into it, but I was so angry when he came over to Abigail. And it's like, okay, now not only did you put my business in a precarious position by pulling out of this contract we had. Look, Abigail's fine. She's all good. Our girl can roll with it. Now you're also going to be setting up a flower universe so it's in direct competition with my business. Like, look, I get it. You got to do what you got to do, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to get my knickers in a twist.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a female business owner. You have your own business. Like if that had happened to you, like I would be just so mad for you. I would be like, "Wait a minute, what is going on here?"
Especially if someone is going to rub your face in it, which I felt like he took pleasure in it. And that is what really got me. It wasn't like, oh, well, maybe we could even collaborate and there's room enough for both of us. Cause actually, sometimes there is like sometimes things that people view as competition actually just elevates your own business. That is the thing, too. Like, it's not even always that problematic. And I think that's initially even how Abigail might have been viewing it like, oh, there's room for the both of us, but not when someone starts stealing your business and your contracts.
Yeah, I thought that was a low, low blow. But something that was on a high here was seeing Abigail in her wedding dress. Goodies, we got to see the dress that Abigail chose. And I mean, Jax, you know this about me. Some of you seshers might know this about me too. I mean, I loved my wedding dress. I loved that moment. So anytime I see a woman on reality TV, in fictional TV, or a woman in my real life pick her wedding dress, I always feel just so many feelings. And she looked stunning. I love the dress that she picked.
Yeah, this was bada bing, bada boom. It is a true say yes to the dress moment. Also, for those of you who don't know, Ashal and I weren't really friends yet when you got married. So I did watch your wedding video. Shaw was like, I was like, I wish I was at your wedding. Like, I wish I would have known you then. I want to know more about it. Shaw sent me like what was a 2-minute clip, but then I went online and I somehow found the 30-minute version, and she was like, "Oh, no, no, wait, how did you wait, what did you watch?"
Yeah, exactly. Jackson actually watched my whole wedding video instead of the little trailer that I sent you. You're the sweetest.
Remember me saying, like, "I loved your dad's speech," or I started quoting something and you were like, "Oh, that wasn't
That
in the
wasn't in the
trailers,"
2-minute
and I was like, "Oh, I mean, the trailers, that was my appetizer." If you will. Like, do you think I was gonna watch the trailer and not watch the movie? You silly girl. But yes, I think that it's very special to see someone in their wedding dress, and I think that it's so much more than just an item of clothing. It's this thing that it's a part of their history now, it's a part of their history with their family, it's part of their relationship, and I mean, I will say that brides always look transcendent on their wedding day. I mean, it's so beautiful, and seeing Abigail shine in this, it was giving me all the feelings.
It really was. It was a very, very special moment, and I can't wait to see the Donovan and Abigail wedding. Or if we don't get to see it, maybe they'll show us the video of their wedding. If we don't get to see the
We'll do a
actual
deep
wedding.
dive.
Yeah,
We'll do a deep
we'll
dive.
do a deep dive. Jax will be on it. She'll sleuth it out. She'll sleuth it out for us, everybody. You know, and I thought that, obviously Abigail is so sure about this dress and so sure about this relationship, but Zoe is not so sure. She's very sure about her connection to Joy, but she does confide in Adam that she did receive the flowers that Joy sent her and loved them. So, Joy, good on you. It was great to send the flowers, but she is feeling feelings like she feels like she's betraying Avery's memory, her ex who has passed away. And then she also looks at some of the yellow roses that are in the bouquet that Joy sent and is thinking, well, does that mean friendship? And so she's going through a lot. What were you thinking about that?
Okay, so first off, just the convention of her talking to Adam, slow clap, good witch writers. And also, I mean, the acting in the scene is great too, but love this. They knew each other before because of the work at the hospital. So love that. It gives Adam a chance to not only connect with Zoe on a friendship level, but get to talk to her with his calling. I mean, he's getting to practice what he preaches and he's unable to do it at the church. So now it's this really fulfilling thing for him that when he's at the hospital, he can talk to Zoe. So again, masterful. What is going on with Zoe? I mean, there are so many things here because there's all these very deep and complicated feelings that she's dealing with about grief, really. And then some of the more fun superficial aspects of, do yellow roses mean friendship? They do, but then when you think about the fact that Joy knows that your favorite color is yellow, she was just trying to do what you wanted her to do. And also, you're getting yourself into this twirly mind space where you're spiraling. You're
Twirly mind
spiraling.
space. Twirly mind space, spiraling. We have all been there. Yeah, I mean, I definitely look, it's so hard. And I think I said this earlier, in a past episode, how I was curious how Zoe was going to face this because it's natural to be thinking about your love, who you had, and, now they're gone, and wondering, should I be moving on? Is this the right time to move on? And feeling so many feelings around that with your grief. But like you said, Jax, I think the dating aspect of this, again, we can all relate to trying to decipher clues and meanings. I mean, we even saw this earlier in Good Witch when Stephanie's trying to decipher Adam's text. And remember, we talked about that earlier. A hey stranger, yellow roses. What does it all mean? So yeah,
I think it means you like me.
I think it means you like. Well, yeah, and you did say that, So
No, but, like, I don't even know if that was the case for Adam, but yeah, I
no,
would like
I
just
think
to get a
it's clear it
I'm
was. It's clear it was. It's clear. And you said it was flirty, and it was the same with Joy. She just wanted to make Zoe happy with her favorite color. But I gotta say, I have been there. I've been there in that spiraling, swirly mind space, worrying it up. But yeah, this was a really special moment to see Adam do what Adam does best. And speaking of someone else who's doing something that they do best, along with some worrying, we've got Joy and George in this wonderful scene where George is given the advice. So let's check that out in our
Top Pick.
What's shaking, Bacon?
Sounds like Martha took you to school out there.
Class got out early on account of tummy time.
Oh, yours or baby Tommy's?
You know you're assembling that light fixture upside down?
I guess I'm a little distracted.
In my day, we called it smitten.
I haven't heard from Zoe since our date.
And you're afraid she's ghosting you. Hey, I know what kids are saying.
Maybe she's just not that into me.
Maybe she just needs more time
What, to find her phone and text me?
to figure out what she wants to say. She's probably just scared.
Are you doing that thing where you give my own advice back to me?
Guilty as charged.
And taking it slow worked with Samantha?
The thing about taking it slow is it takes a while to find out if it's working.
Thanks, George.
Hey, call me Mayor O'Hanrahan.
I loved this little scene because one, again, I think we've all been there where relationship wise, where you just, you really like someone and you're just trying to figure it out. You're trying to, because you're still in that stage, especially in the beginning, where like things can sometimes move really smoothly. And usually they, in this relationship, I think it will after they get over this one little hiccup they have. But yeah, you're just always wondering, like, okay, well, what should I do? Like, how should I showcase my feelings? And do they feel the same way back for me? And so I just thought this was really lovely with Joy, what Joy is going through, because I could resonate with it. But then George, just one knowing ghosting. George is hip, everybody. Who knew? Who knew George knew about ghosting?
My man, George, I think this is one of my favorite lines in an episode this season so far that we've had when he's like I'm hip to that. Yeah, ghosting. We all know what's up. But that he's a man who's comfortable enough in his own skin to have this really open, lovely chat with Joy about her relationship. Like, my dad's an extremely supportive dad. He's awesome. We talk about a lot of things. My dating life is always something that he's like, whatever makes you happy, miss. I mean, that's literally been. And then if he doesn't like someone, he'll maybe say, like, I wasn't so fond of him or whatever the case is. Or he's supportive, but it's not like we're doing a deep dive about the ups, downs, highs, lows. I'm not going to him for advice about this. So I thought that this scene was really, really special, that they can have this real talk about their own relationships, and that George can sort of bring Joy back to a place where it's a little bit of a reality check in a good way. Like, you're fine. You're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. Try not to get too anxious about this.
And sometimes slow is not always bad. It also reminded me of that too. Like, sometimes when things take time, it means that they're worth taking the time for. We're always in such a hurry nowadays. I feel like to just everything immediately, or this has to happen like right away, or if it's not happening right away, then that means the connection's not real or something, and actually, like, sometimes things need to take time to develop.
I love that you're pointing that out, because I totally agree. I think the one thing here that I was really relating to, the anxiety producing piece, because like I said, I don't tend to overthink things like in relationships or in other aspects of life. But there was one time with Alex where at the time he was living in a building that a doorman, and I left a note for him. And he didn't get the note, but I didn't know he didn't get the note. And I remember thinking I did something that was so special and cute, and I left a little gift. And he didn't say thank you, and he did. And I thought, oh no, what happened? And I do think in this instance with Joy, it's not only all the emotions she's dealing with, it's the fact that she sent this thing, she put herself out there, and she hasn't heard back. And that for me, and then trying to relate it to, well, maybe she's just not that into me. That's actually what I would have assumed. And I probably wouldn't have done a lot more reaching out because I would have sort of taken the hint and wanted to respect that person. And not only respect that person, but sadly protect myself because we've all got that going on. So I thought that particular piece was very relatable in this scene as well.
Oh, yeah, same. Absolutely. That's what I mean. We're all trying to decipher, what does the not calling, what do the flowers mean? What's the text mean? We've all been there. We're all, dating can be, that's why dating can be a little anxiety producing, because we're not sure what the signals are, what the messages are until they are. Until it's like, yeah, I like you. You like me. Let's do this. Let's go steady, everybody. Remember that? I thought that was so charming. And we talked about George and Samantha again in this scene, too. Final thing I will say about this scene, George with that gavel. Gotta love it. Martha loves a gavel, too. I love that little moment where she's training George to be mayor earlier on in the episode.
And George is never going to have the same mayoral energy as Martha. And thank goodness for that. Different people govern in different ways. And George has a little bit more of a laid back style.
He does. But he's doing a pretty good job as, I guess, as interim mayor for a day, for really just like an afternoon, I think, everybody. But really, really great advice with Joy and helping her feel a little bit better. Another spot where someone needs some help feeling a little bit better. And this was also, I mean, again, good on you, Good Witch, for taking us through a lot. We've got the levity again, but then we've got some of these more heartfelt moments. Grant actually asks Adam to chat with Dr. McBride because she lost a patient and she's really feeling that grief. That was such a beautiful moment. All of the advice Adam gives her. And, I've talked about this before on the show, but I have a few friends of mine who are doctors. I have one who is an ER doctor. And you can imagine in the ER, so many of the things that she sees, so many of the people, honestly, that she can't save or can't help because it's too late and she's trying her hardest, but it's done. And definitely there are moments where I've spoken to her where that grief is very real. And you wish that you could have done something, or you've stayed with a patient and dealt with them for a little while. Even my dad dealt with this too growing up, and then it ends up being that they pass away. So it's definitely a real thing. I think so many doctors and medical professionals and deal with.
Yeah, and I think what was even more difficult in this situation is that Dr. McBride would be feeling that no matter what, losing a patient, but she really felt this soul connection with this man, the way she talks about the way he spoke about the opera and how he didn't really seem afraid. And they had a bond that went beyond the doctor-patient relationship. And I think that's why that this really hits her in a whole sort of way that makes her feel like it's actually making her wonder if she needs to think about having a different career path and making her think about why she wanted to become a doctor in the first place. And it's so well played by all these actors and so sensitively addressing a topic that is really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we get to, see Adam share with her the ways in which she really actually gave her patient hope and gave this man hope and brought him hope. And hope was a really big theme in this episode, especially for Adam, which we're going to dive into at the end here. But just a really moving scene between those two. Really, really moving. Stephanie also ends up in the hospital with a backhand spring injury. She's got a list that she's trying to do that she found when she's 14. She wrote this list.
14-year-old Stephanie really wanted to stick the landing of that backhand spring. It is not easy to stick the landing. It's not easy to do one, but to really stick the landing. And Stephanie, 20 years later, is still struggling with it.
Yeah, I used to be able to do them back tuck, back flip, do it all. And no, no longer, friends. So I understand what Stephanie is going through. But I loved this moment with Stephanie and Adam because, she talks about how she's always playing it safe. And then she says to Adam, you're always playing it safe too. And there's this whole great wisdom nugget in there about focusing on the goals you have now. So love, love, love that. And that's going to come into play later.
I just got to give a pat on the back to my girl Shaw that you could do a back handspring. I always tried to learn in those barrels because I could only do a round off. I couldn't do a round off back handspring. And I would get stuck on the barrel trying to go over. So again, this is why if we could go back in time to our high school selves, I think you would have helped me learn how to do a round off back handspring, and I would have been also grateful for that part of our friendship.
I would have loved to. And it took work. I definitely practiced a ton and got it. So it just doesn't happen all the time. For some people it does, but it definitely took me a little bit. But yes, I would have absolutely coached you. Now, the thing that I always love is that we've got a lot of magic happening in these episodes. A lot of Cassie, too, bringing things to the forefront. I mean, one thing that happens here is Cassie notices a hope chest at Sam's house at the same time as the Middleton Bridal Expo. Joy and Abigail are looking at hope chests, and they realize that Patience and Fortune, who were in the painting, okay, so stay with me, y'all, in the painting last episode, were sitting on a hope chest. So this is huge.
I like all that coming together. We got Patience and Fortune. They each have an amulet. They're sitting on a hope chest. We're putting these pieces together.
That's right. I mean, and again, the theme of hope here, it's a hope chest. Are y'all getting it? Are you getting it, goodies? I'm seeing it.
Having patience. It's not always going to go as quickly as you want. We see you, Good Witch.
We see it. We got you. But they do end up opening the hope chest, Joy and Abigail, and they find a letter from William to Patience, but no amulet. So, okay, we're still waiting. We're still waiting to see what's next. But that was exciting. That was sort of an exciting development in this mystery, and I was here for it. But Cassie is always, I mean, again, the fact that she saw the hope chest first, I feel like was a little bit of a nudge. And Martha calls Cassie's powers the Nightingale nudge. So I think it's time to play a little game of the Nightingale nudge. So Jax, here we go. Martha coins the Nightingale nudge, as Cassie always helping out with situations. So I'm going to quiz you on a few of the nudges in this episode. You'll know you're going to hear a little mystical sparkle if Jax gets it right. Here we go. We talked about Stephanie finding that list that she made when she was 14 years old that she never accomplished. We know she tried to do the back handspring to detrimental results. But she also scoffs at a book she had on her list to read. And Cassie nudges her to read it, and the book appears when Martha stops by the cafe. What book is this?
Oh, this is a fun little scene. The book is War and Peace.
Yes, you are correct. And yes, it is a book. It's a book. I've read it. It's a lot of pages.
I haven't read it, but now
It's
I feel
good,
like I should add it
but
to the list.
it's good, but it's an undertaking. But I love that finding this list. I mean, did you love that this was a part of Stephanie's storyline? Just the list, finding herself. I mean, we're really seeing Stephanie go through it this season. And I love that Cassie, of course, with her magical Nightingale nudge, had already asked Martha for the book because she knew that Stephanie would be asking for it.
I think this is so great about Good Witch, how they're really fantastic about also tapping into nostalgia. And I think that we see that throughout the whole season in the series, but this is just yet another great example. I mean, we had our fun flashbacks and everything going on this season, but to get that sort of window into the past of what was I thinking and dreaming about when I was 14? What goals did I have? Are some of those still relevant? Or is the spirit of what I was trying to achieve then? How can I make that work for current day me?
Absolutely. And still on the list for Shawl is getting a tattoo. Now, I have still not done this, very much for the same reason that Stephanie is also. She's afraid of the pain. But I will get a henna tattoo any day, as does Stephanie.
That was great when they sort of called her out on that. And it looks great. I mean, henna's gorgeous. So, and yeah.
But it's not the real deal. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. Okay.
Well, for me, it's a different kind of real deal. I'm like, hey, sure, why not? But Martha likes the permanence of the ink. Like, she's really encouraging everyone to get inked up. What
is Martha's tattoo, one. Everybody? We gotta.
I think Martha might have a few.
Is it a gavel? Does she have the gavel somewhere? Is it for her accomplishments? Maybe she gets a tattoo for every accomplishment she has.
I could totally see that Martha's got a gavel. She's got a manhandler tattoo from Logan Man that we know she's a fan of. Maybe Martha just has a bunch of tattoos that she's got her bowling shirt tattooed on her shoulder somewhere. We don't know. Martha, tell us what's happening.
Tell us what's happening. Okay. Next one here. Sam wants to urge his sister to start using her wheelchair, and she won't. While this is happening, Cassie finds out that Sam used to do magic with his grandfather, the remarkable Radfords. What does Cassie say to Sam about magic in terms of helping his sister?
Okay, so I definitely firmly believe this one is someone who was a fan of magic. She says it's medicine, or it can be the medicine.
Yes, sometimes magic is the medicine. I love this line for obviously so many reasons. Clearly Cassie being magical, always healing people and helping people through things, but also that in this storyline, it actually is the medicine. We got to see Sam do some magic. We also got to see Cassie attempt to be a magician. What did you think of Catherine Bell in the getup with the rings? I know you love magicians too, Jack. So I was like, she's thrilled about this storyline.
So I thought what was really cool about this was that in the trailer, when we'd seen Cassie in that magic hat with the cape, it was this really alluring thing of Cassie, who we know as she's so in control of everything and she is magical. But then getting to see her not be able to do the actual magic tricks was so funny. Catherine Bell is really funny. And also getting to see Cassie be good at real magic, but not the kind of magic that is being performed here was just, I'm tickling my funny bone. It
really was. It was hilarious. Now, Cassie asks Sam to do what trick, and what does it inspire his sister to do? This is a two-parter.
So I love this because right before it was Stay Home, Stay Safe time, I went to a magic show where I got to see this done in person. Except it wasn't a ring, it was a dollar bill. But it is the lemon twist trick.
Yes. And now two-parter, what does it inspire his sister to do?
Don't have me go there, Shawl. I'm going to be crying because what it does, and we'd had this beautiful scene before that we were talking about a little bit. I sort of touched on how Jo says she didn't pressure Sam to do anything. Sam didn't want to do magic after his grandfather passed, and Joe didn't pressure him to do it. And when Sam is doing magic for Cassie and Joe is watching, Joe walks away when Sam is doing the big reveal, and I think he actually sort of feels bummed out that she walked away. But then she comes into the room in her wheelchair. So she's realized if Sam can do something, oh, good. Guys, I'm holding it together. I'm feeling all the feelings. And I'm actually working to get through this. So I'll say it. She realizes that if Sam could do something that was difficult for him to sort of make someone else happy, but also was fulfilling to him with doing the magic again, she could do that for Sam. And that, it was
beautiful.
And then Sam's face, oh, good witch, you got me.
They really did. They got me too. I mean, it all came together, and it was also a trick that Sam had never done too. Like, he'd always been trying to do it with his grandfather. That was the trick that he couldn't quite master. So it really was it really tied everything together because, as Cassie says, magic is the medicine.
If anyone wants to know how we did that trick, DM me. Because I know the lemon twist.
Ooh, you have to do the lemon twist with me. As long as I get my ring back. I need my ring back.
I know how let me be very clear.
You don't do it. You just know how
it's done. I don't know how to do it.
Okay, well, I want to see you master how to do it and then do it, and then maybe I'll give you a different ring just in case.
You could just give me a $1 bill. That's actually what we'll circle back for season 8 of Good Witch, and that's when I will have mastered the lemon twist.
Perfect. And Sasher's goodies. Well, we can share this with you if this is something that you want to see. And final question here. Another wonderful Nightingale nudge. When Cassie returns to Grey House, she and Joy are looking at Joy's vision board, and Joy is like, "This vision board is even more confusing." What does Cassie say to help Joy discover what the vision board is trying to tell them?
Okay, here's a confession. I knew this was important, so I wrote it down in my notes. I don't want to look at my notes, but when they flipped it over, they said, I know that they have to beware the red haloed moon, the zenith of the red haloed moon. Beware the zenith.
Beware of the zenith of the red haloed moon. But what Cassie actually says to get them to see that is that's one perspective. So Joy is like, this is even more confusing. And Cassie goes, well, that's one perspective. Cue the magical music. And then we turn around, and also at the beginning, if y'all remember, Cassie said this empty space is where we're going to see the light. And the empty space was filled with Zoe coming to see Joy, put her photograph there, they turn it around, and they see beware of the zenith of the red haloed moon.
I just say that's why I had to write it down, because I was just gushing over the fact that photo went so perfectly into the vision board that I was like, oh, you're not going to remember this because you're still thinking about that photo. Like, there's too much. Like, this is all happening at the end here. Like, I'm still like getting Twitter pated over the fact that Zoe brought her a photo. And she's like, no, it's not a card. It's a photo.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about that moment because that was so sweet. Zoe brings Joy flowers, brings a photo of them, and apologizes for not letting her know that she loved the flowers. And they have a date to hang out. So they're still dating, everybody.
I love that Joy gave her the space to really sit in that moment of, because she knows she's grieving and she's not playing games or doing anything weird here. Like, she's not just keeping her at arm's length on a power trip. She knows that she's really gone through something with Avery, and she's making space for that. But I did love that little bit of flirtation, and also the whole like, oh, like, is it gonna take me as long to say thank you as it took you to say thank you? Like, we're getting a little bit of Joy's groove back here, which is something that originally I think also attracted Zoe to her. So I thought that was a really cute little moment.
Oh, very cute moment. And speaking of getting their groove back, Abigail and Donovan, that second first date goes really well. She even shows him her wedding dress. Talk about throwing tradition out the window. Truly, these two are a couple to their own. Don't do anything by the book. But I was glad that their second first date went really well. Very, very sweet. And then Adam has this beautiful moment with everyone coming together in the church, and we're talking about hope. And I love this. I wrote this down. Hope is something we can rejoice in. It gives us strength and renews our strength in our time of need. Hope brings us peace and understanding, and that is the center of community. Beautiful. Better when we're together. We're better when we're together and not alone. And I love that this whole episode was leading towards Adam giving that message out to everyone with all the things he was dealing with too, and his calling. And it was just really, really lovely. And speaking of calling, Martha can be a mayor and a grandmama. You can do it all. You can do it all if you are Martha. So this was really nice the way that wrapped out too. So let's end it out with our Isn't It Enchanting? All right. I loved Adam's speech. That moment was so beautiful, and that message is so beautiful. But the other moment was when Abigail says to Donovan, when she's showing him the dress, Donovan says, I thought you wanted a long engagement. And she says, the longer I'm engaged to you, the more I want to marry you. Thought it was so delightful, so sweet. And those two are magic. Love them.
Yeah, I love that too. And that, Donovan does what he thinks he's supposed to do, is freak out when she shows him the dress, because that's not what people do. And she's like, we do things our own way, boo. Like, I got you. My enchanting moment definitely was in the church with Adam, the speech that you're talking about when he said we are better together than we are alone, and panning and seeing everyone there. It was so overwhelming and beautiful. That was my big all the feels. There were so many in this episode. But the quick little funny on the feels that I want to shout out here was Martha's line about the tattoo, which I think was a great thing about identity, was when she said, the pain is fleeting compared to the permanence of your self-expression. Again, Martha, the way Catherine Disher can turn a phrase, isn't it enchanting? Truly. So yes, in this episode, definitely the big moment was the church and seeing that community gathered, and that quote that you read, Shaw, it was just so beautiful. And I think really encapsulates this series. Like, even with talking with Kylie, being back together with her Good Witch family, and we know that they have this really great ensemble cast, that they are this family. And we see that this season, and seeing them gathered in church, which we know that, during this time, a lot of people haven't been able to see people the way they want to see people, or worship the way that they want to. And it's been a struggle, but getting to see this with Adam and having people gathered in the church was really wonderful. And they saved the church. So, hey, and people are actually there to hear Adam get to talk to them. So that's nice. It was what a magical episode.
What truly, truly enchanted with this season of Good Witch. And I'm feeling all the hope. I hope all of y'all are too. Definitely come hang out with us at The Bubbly Sesh on Instagram and Twitter. We're always live tweeting. Come hit us up with any of your thoughts. After you listen to an episode, let us know what you think. DM us. We're always here for you. And we've got some fun guests coming up. So stay tuned for that. And we've still got more Good Witch to come. 3 more episodes to go. Very happy it's not the end yet. So let's do this. Cheers.
Cheers.
Special thanks to our editor, Meg Fierro, and our Crown Media managing producer, Caitlin Haubrick.